Guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about yet another niche community on TikTok. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I don't think it's an inherently bad community. Let me just put that out there right from the get-go. But I do feel somewhat concerned about potentially what could occur and how things could get out of hand. On TikTok, the For You page, as far as I understand, bases what you get on your own For You page based on things you like. So for me, typically I get makeup, animals, and comedy skits that revolve around mental illness. Those are the things that are on my For You page. So I was super surprised when on my For You page, I got prison TikTok. Now let me be clear. There are two sides of TikTok that I refer to as prison TikTok. Now there's one that is people who were formerly in prison that talk about their experiences, tell you little known facts, just tell you story times about prison, which I find really interesting because I feel like a lot of the times they shine a light on things that I hadn't even thought of. So that prison TikTok, interesting, educational, love it. Unfortunately, I ended up on the other prison TikTok, or what I refer to prison TikTok. If there's a name for this genre, let me know in the comments down below. But basically, they play the song Criminal by Britney Spears, and they show the website Right to a Prisoner or something along those lines, which I'll actually show you because I went on it to do my own digging. And then they'll show you a picture that they think is attractive of a current inmate. And they'll like just zoom in on the picture of the inmate and their profile, and they'll just be like, oh my God, kind of thing. And I've noticed that this isn't particular to any real demographic. Like I've seen people that seem of very different ages doing it. It's not particular women, men, non-binary, like it's not particular to anyone. I've just seen like a whole variety of people. Some of these prison TikToks are people also saying that they're deciding to write to these people. Now, I'm going to show you a few of them. I have to censor them because it is a Britney Spears song playing in the background of all of them. And I'll put a few of them here. And that's not to shame any of these people. They're all free to do whatever they want. I just wanted to give you an example of what the content is. We've known since like the beginning of time, there have been stereotypically in the past, specifically women who would write to incarcerated men, even serial killers, people who have done like horrendous, horrific things. Men obviously did it too, but women were, you know, like the stereotype. Since the beginning of time, since the existence of prisons, I'm pretty sure there have been people who write to inmates and then get into a relationship. Some even go as far as to get married. This is by no means a new phenomenon. The fact that there is a website made to write to prisoners proves that, although that website does very much look like it is stuck in the 2000s. Regardless of that, the thing that concerns me of this, first of all, is that I'm going to show you an example of, you know, the cognitive dissonance there, because as much as, you know, people are obviously in prison for multiple reasons. Someone might have just gone to jail for weed, and that is a very different thing for me personally than going to jail for murder, rape, anything of that nature. When people make these TikToks essentially thirsting over what they think are attractive inmates, you're kind of ignoring the elephant in the room, you know, like what did they do? I would say that if you're gonna write to someone, a very critical part of deciding to write to someone or not is seeing what their crime is. I personally would never write to someone who murdered people. On the other hand, would I write to someone who, you know, just dealt weed or something? Yes, those are two different things. Not that I would write to any people. I'm too paranoid about that. But anyway, but the thing is that that aspect is completely ignored. And I understand that a lot of these are just like funny little skits. But what worries me is that TikTok has a lot of very young people on the platform. And there are a lot of small things that we as adults would probably think of automatically, especially if you're anxious or paranoid, but that some people might not think of. Example, this is kind of a trend. If this trend gets big enough, it would be hard for me to believe that 14, 15, even 16-year-olds, if not even younger than 14-year-olds, honestly, would hop onto the bandwagon and decide to write to an inmate they find attractive. As much as, of course, there are plenty of mature young teens, I'd be concerned that they might not take into account the ramifications. Example, you decide to write to someone. Are they gonna necessarily look at what the crime they did was? If they're that attractive, maybe not. When you write to someone, if you want them to write back, you need to have a return address. As a young kid, are you necessarily gonna think, oh, I'm giving my address to someone who, may have been just a small crime, or maybe a murderer, rapist, who now has your address. So I don't know if they would immediately think of, I need to give them a PO box address, or I need to, find some other way so they don't have my actual address. These are small logistical things that concern me, especially if it becomes a trend, because of course, trends on TikToks don't last very long, but while they're around, they are very intense, and that's why it worries me. The obvious underlying theme, which has gotten me so much harassment from the true crime community, the negative side of it, not people who are actually interested in true crime, people who idolize serial killers, them. Is that the underlying kind of discomfort I feel is that just because you go to prison, I'm not saying that makes you a terrible person. I'm not saying it's always irredeemable, because like I said, there are different levels of crime. In a lot of these cases, it's just they're looking at a profile, and I went on there, and a lot of times the profiles are I love pets, I'm sassy, I like reading books, whatever. It's very much the average person kind of profile. Then you can scroll down, and then it shows you what crime they've committed, right? So I found one person. We're not going to show the picture or their name, but I just kind of wanted to see what the whole deal was. So I found this person. The way you can search when you look it up is basically the gender, what state, an age range. I'll post here how you search someone. So I searched randomly, and I came across randomly this one person. And this person is saying that they're serving a lengthy sentence for wrongful conviction, that they've been incarcerated since they were a teenager, they're trying to get their sentence overturned. And then, like I said, it goes into the average Joe. I love to read, listen to music, work out, and write letters and poetry, blah, blah, blah. So you can go on this person's profile, you can go, and at the bottom it says to find out their crime. So basically, it'll just say, very briefly, here it mentions statutory rape, indecency with a child, 14 years old, possession of firearm by felon, probation violation, failure to register, breaking and entering. And then there's a paragraph that says that all this information is put in by the person who's incarcerated, but it is verified by writeaprisoner.com, which is the website itself. I decided to go look up the details because just putting, in commas, various crimes doesn't really contextualize, especially statutory rape. I wanted to see what exactly occurred. And here it says that he pled guilty to 2 counts of statutory rape of a person of the age of 14 when the defendant was at least 6 years older than the victim. So he was at least 20 when he raped a 14-year-old. Then he had a failure to submit a change of address as a sex offender, had breaking and entering, which we knew, 2 counts of felonious larceny, 2 counts of felonious possession of stolen goods, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon pursuant to a plea agreement. In his little about me, he said that he was wrongfully convicted. Whether that's true or not, I'm not here to debate. What I'm saying is that the message that these TikToks propagates makes me uncomfortable because, yeah, I'm sure that there are plenty of people who are convicted of crimes and then imprisoned who are either conventionally attractive or, just attractive to specific people, whatever. But the idea is that we're completely throwing away the point. You are on a website that is to write to prisoners. And like we said, there are different types of offenses. But this kind of thing of not even looking and just looking through it like it's a catalog of models is alarming to me. Also because in a lot of these TikToks, if you go to the comment sections, there are people who are pretty much in the same mindset as me who are saying, this, let's not romanticize writing to people who might be super dangerous or that you're not even going to check, so you don't know if they're dangerous or you don't know what they've done. And then there were people who were also sharing their stories. Like, I remember one comment that was honestly nauseating. That was someone saying that their mother married someone who, while they were in prison, I believe, and then the person got out and then tried to murder their entire family. That's not, you know, to say that that's the experience everyone's gonna have. But I do really feel a lot of concern about the amount of caution that people are taking. And I feel like because there are bars between you and whoever you're writing to, there's this false sense of security. But even someone in, you know, someone with the wrong intentions having your address, that in and of itself can already be super, super damaging. I don't know, it made me uncomfortable. I don't think it's inherently bad. Like I said, if you take your precautions and you're an adult and you decide to do that, fine, but take the precautions. It's more for like the younger side of TikTok that I'm concerned, because they might be, you know, young people who see a dreamy person and then they're like, oh my God, and then they just write them, and it can just get messy. But you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always. Let's get right into the fan art.